What's happening, Head to Head Nation? We're back. Episode number, not sure. We got a good one tonight. We got Josh Sheldon from E-Tournament Fishing on with us tonight. Thank you for joining us. You can see I'm sitting here all by myself today. We are bringing him in from Colorado. So let's bring in Josh Sheldon from E-Tournament Fishing. What's happening, Josh?
Hey, buddy. How are you?
Good, man. Good to see you. Thanks for joining me.
Yeah, you too. Yeah, I think I need one of those hats.
I might have to get you one. I think I know a guy.
Yeah, perfect. I'll trade you. How about that?
Yeah, that's a deal. I need one of them as well. So what's going on tonight over in Colorado? You got this crappy weather like we got in Wisconsin?
No, you guys have taken it all for us. We've been pretty warm, actually. And Colorado didn't realize the fall ended, so we've still been out. Yeah, we still don't have ice. We have open water, and it's been pretty warm. But we're supposed to get some, I think, a pretty good snowstorm starting tomorrow. So, but yeah, you guys took it all for us. It's been going up over us.
It's been pretty crappy here the last few weeks. I know the whole Midwest. We get a bunch of snow here in Green Bay. We get a bunch of snow. Then it will rain, snow, rain, get cold. Now tomorrow the high is like minus 17, wind chill of 45 below.
Yeah,
it's no fun. Why do I live here?
You were well to great fishing. That's why. We both know that's the reason.
Yeah, if it wasn't for the Great Lake of Green Bay, Lake Michigan, I definitely wouldn't be here. So,
No, we had, we had 65. I think just even Christmas was 68 degrees.
Stop talking.
Good.
Yeah, we're jealous of that for sure.
Yeah, so we have no water.
So have you guys been able to fish yet then, huh?
No, our lake shut down. They shut down due to A&S inspections. They shut down December 1st. So we have been driving by open water and wishing we could be out there. You can fish from shore, but they shut down after December 1st to boating. So
what are them inspections? What do them entail?
That's the zebra mussel, invasive species.
Okay.
So it's you just got to go through. They check your boat. They check your bilge. They make sure your motor's drained. If you have any live bait, check your live well, make sure everything's dry. We have to do it, all year when it's open. And they stop at December and they open sometime around the beginning of March, maybe, or beginning of April, depending on how bad our weather is and when ice comes off. So
they actually close the season to boating, basically, because nobody's there to inspect. Interesting.
Yeah. It's kind of a catch-22 because it's actually illegal to shut down state parks in the state of Colorado and have seasons. So what they say is they shut it down to boating, but they say you can still have full access to the park. So it's how they get around.
That's interesting. That's interesting. I wonder if there's any other states like that. And they only do it because there's nobody there to inspect the zebra mussels and make sure water's out of the boat. And wow, never heard of that.
We have one lake. Yeah, one lake in Pueblo, because it's a little further south, it stays warmer, that they keep open all year. So you can go down there if you get the bug, but everybody else closes.
That's crazy. It's different. It's crazy how every state's different in that way, where you have, like us that was here in Wisconsin, we can catch and release year-round for bass. They changed that probably 6-7 years ago. Walleye season stays open till I think March 1st or something. Maybe it stays open year-round. I don't even really know. I know it's regulated somewhat, but if there's open water, we can put our boats in and fish. So we're fortunate that way.
Yeah, we used to be that way, but when the whole A&S thing started, probably 15 years ago, maybe even 20 now. They shut all that down. So
nice. We got some people watching. Of course, Dylan Williams, welcome back, Dylan. Dylan, he's our number one fan. He's on everything we watch. Doug Oler, another one. He's with us all the time. Radu, good to see you, buddy. Chuck King, good to see you guys are on. If anybody has any questions as we get into the nitty gritty here of E-Tournament Fishing app, feel free to chime in, and one of us will definitely do what we can to answer the questions. When I say one of us, I mean Josh, because he is the expert. I've been playing around with the app quite a bit. It's very, very user friendly. When we were talking earlier today, I had mentioned I'm not super techy, but I'm good enough to get by typically. And you guys have it built pretty simple. Like it's pretty foolproof.
No, that's the benefit of us being fishermen, right? Is you and
Right.
I can um, go in and have our own 2 cents, and we can come in and say, this is confusing, or this is great, or what if it looked like this? And so we spent a lot of time. I'm probably much like you, right? Like I'm just good enough at some of this to get in trouble for the most part. But through development and stuff like this, I'm the one who jumps in both feet and says, "Yeah, this looks terrible because I have no idea how to do this." So, as a group, we definitely put it through the paces and have seen, just like you said. I mean, and then our poor guys here in Colorado, once we do it, then we put it off on them and we let them do it, and we see who can
You got a good test
who
crowd.
can do it. Yeah, it works great. It really does, and we appreciate them, and it works well for us, and it works well for them because they get to have first crack at it. So
Well, nothing better to test than with anglers, right? Like you mentioned it, that you guys are fishermen first, and you've seen some of the, not to bash any other apps out there, but you saw some of the shortfalls that they had, and as fishermen, you're like, well, hey, let's see if we can do this, and see what we can do to make it better. And man, I think you guys knocked it out of the park. I don't have a ton of experience with the other apps. I did a little bit with Tourney X back in the day when catchway release first became popular in the bass club area side of things, and it was pretty user friendly. We liked it, and man, I think eTournament, you guys knocked it out of the park with ease, right? With how easy it is for somebody to catch on to by having everything color coordinated, stuff like that. And we'll get into some of that as we go through the app here, but like you said, fisherman first. You lost your backlight.
no, it's automatic timer. I have to. It's on motion.
Oh, it's on
Long
motion. Nice.
story. Yeah,
That happens
so
in here, I'll
sorry,
go
I
away.
forget it would do that. Yeah, yeah, I
Doug,
forget it. I forget it does that. So.
Doug does have a question here. I do have a question for you, Kyle. Are we allowed to have anyone in the boat during pre-fishing? For the tournament, Doug, no, you are not allowed to have anybody during the official practice. Once the off limits goes into effect, then you are, fishing alone for official practice. Obviously, you got to be off the water for the off limits, and then you will be practicing alone. Good question on the tournament there, Doug. So yeah, let's get into the app a little bit. We are fortunate to have jumped on board with you guys and you guys with us for the Pro Walleye Circuit for 2026, and also on the other side of my life through Wisco Bass, we are using the app for one of our big team tournaments, our annual tournament. So it's the walleye side. It's not going to be much of a change, right? Everybody's pretty much used to using an app of some sort. Yeah, we're doing length to weight conversion. That's going to be a little different, and guys are going to be alone in the boat, stuff like that. But talk about what you guys have done to make things easier. Maybe we just start as with registering how you get signed up and stuff like that, Josh.
I think the biggest thing that we have is we have the ability for it to be as user friendly for the directors as possible. If you're going to set up this tournament, like you and I've talked about, there's options for everything. You have the absolute total control of how you set up your event, and that's important for H2H, and then it's important for the the little 15-person tournament or 15-team tournament that does their Wednesday night league nights. It allows total control for all of that stuff. So it was really important to us that you guys could control what you needed and that we gave you as many options as possible. So the ease to sign up for an angler is so simple. As far as you go in, you create a profile, you put your information that it would be pertinent for the directors, if address, if they need to mail you a check or anything like that is already in that profile. And then when you go to enter any tournament, you have a profile filled out. It automatically puts all that information in there for you, and you can literally enter a tournament in seconds. So that is the great, the biggest benefit that we could come up with is that autofill. You don't always have to mess with it. You don't have to. we all hate putting in our address 50 times, and our email
Right.
address. And, as far as creating an account, it's your phone number, and it's a password, and you're in and you're off and going. So,
What I find really cool
it's
within the
really a simple
profile,
process.
one thing I found really cool in the profile is you can add media, you can add your tournament stats. Does that automatically update as you go through your app, through everything, all the tournaments you did? Does that automatically update in your profile?
Yes. Yep. So
That's
your
cool.
finishes
That's really cool.
and how you ended up, and it's all linkable too. So, if I'm fishing H2H and I put this is the circuit I'm doing as one of my linkable sponsor pictures, I can link it right to your webpage for people to enter.
Nice.
If I were an angler doing that, or Bass Pro or Berkeley or whatever. Um, that was real important to us too. Is everybody's a pro, right? We want to make everybody get that feeling like they're a professional angler in this app, and you guys have a long history of doing that. I mean, especially with the original with the cameras in the boats, and local guys got to be stars. We took that to heart, and that's kind of what we wanted to do in the app was let's put this in there where these guys can put in their info and link it, and they can say, "Hey, I'm a Ranger guy," or "Hey, I'm a Yarcraft guy," and link it to their favorite
Yeah.
dealer. And you build your persona, and it really helps too when you're trying to find a co. I can go into the app and I can say, "Hey, this is pretty cool. I can see that, look, Kyle, he did pretty good in this tournament, and he wasn't very good in all these. So, let me see if this guy wants to be my co. Yeah, he's got some experience. Let's see how it goes." So it really helps out with that too, is because everybody else can see everybody's profile.
That's very cool. You can list your equipment, what you're using as far as, boat motor, stuff like that. Sponsors, that's huge, especially I would assume once you get into the MC side of things at a tournament, the MC can pull that up and it comes up with I would assume with your bio, right?
Your information, yep, yep. So you
That's
see the
cool.
information, and that way you have that, and you're you know, like I said, everybody wants their 15 minutes. That's special. I go up on stage and I just kicked butt all weekend, and this is the first win of my life. And these are the people I want to say that helped me along. And so it's important to everybody. So we wanted to make everybody feel like a pro that goes through the app. So
Yeah, you guys did an awesome job with, the first time I think I was talking to you on the phone, the first time I went into it to build my profile, it's, a matter of minutes and it's done. You're signed up and finished. So there's multiple modes inside of it, correct? As a director for me, there's multiple modes for me. Talk a little bit about the benefit to a tournament organization for that, having them options.
so there's four. You can do four roles. Four roles is
What's happening?
doing the. Sorry, so stupid.
No, that was
I
on
don't
my
know how
end.
to
I hit
fix it.
a wrong button here, and Andy yelled at me in my ear.
We bought the house this way, and it's such a pain in the ass. Anyways, there's four functions, right? You can be an angler, a director, an MC, and a fan. And we're getting ready to release a new feature into the app that's really going to tie together the fan side of the app. And it's extremely usable by both the anglers and the director. And then the fan is also going to be able to come in as maybe not even a tournament angler and use the app for that as well. But you come in as an angler, and you're able to find your tournaments that are listed, and the goal for us was always to get as many tournaments using it as we could, so there would be a large database of who has tournaments going on. So if I'm
Right.
going to visit Michigan or Wisconsin from Colorado, and I'm going to be out there for some function with family, I'm going to pull my boat and I'm going to say, "Hey, while I'm out there, is there a tournament going on I could jump in, or a Wednesday like league night?" They can go to the app and they can find any of that in there and enter right from there because they have a profile in the app and they're off and running. So that was really important to us, is the ease of having all of that, and the ability to allow tournaments, even if you're not a big tournament, to be in there and people can see it, and to increase the participation, right? It's all about participation in this industry. So that was important to us in putting that part in there. And then, of course, the angler part is necessary to enter the event, and the ease of use. Everything is color coded. The next step is in orange. So a great story I love to tell is Nebraska Walleye Trail uses us, and the first tournament they used us for was at a lake where the two winners were 82 years old. So it was perfect.
That's
They
awesome.
hopped right on there and off they went. So it really is important that everybody can use it, and that includes little kids, and and people who are a little bit older in the technology section, and then just all of us who don't really do much on our phones other than make calls and send texts. So um, that was a really good way um, to make sure we could keep everybody involved. And then the director mode, it speaks for itself. Total control, total, hands-on, and you can control anything, and everything can be adjusted on the fly. So you're in the middle of day two and you don't want the leaderboard on, turn it off. You don't want it to show names, just pin numbers. You can switch it. Those types of things where it just really helps. You can set boundaries. You can do all sorts of things. And now with this new log that we're coming out with the fish log, the directors are going to be able to send camera boats because they're going to see where you caught your fish, and they're going to be able to send a camera boat to you. So
Yeah,
I know that's a big deal.
having a location for a director is awesome. I don't know how many times how many hours we've spent driving around a lake. Well, he sent me a waypoint and then he moved. So, being able to see where they are and, from organization standpoint is huge for production. Another cool thing within the app is everything is color coordinated. You brought it up. So if you're on a screen and you're not sure what is next, you just go to the orange, right? If it's orange, it still needs to be completed, and once it turns green, you can move on. Messing around in the app, one thing I noticed is, and I've had a lot of questions about this, is you cannot upload a picture to the app from your phone. So from a cheating standpoint or rules standpoint, that's a big deal. Somebody can't take a picture from their photo album from 4 days ago and manipulate that and plug it into the app. It's already built in that you cannot upload. So to me, that's a big deal for a director.
That was important to us as people that fish in tournaments. We didn't want people to have the ability to bring photos in from outside. And we had, as tournament directors for our own series, we had tested some of these other apps that allowed you to pull them from your library. And the question always was, well, how do you keep people from cheating? And there was never an answer for that. And so that was part of the reason we designed our own app, is because there were questions that need to be answered to make sure this could stay a fair and fun way to catch fish. And um, it was just to us it was common sense. To you and I, when we first talked, a lot of this is common sense. Like, yeah, that should be in there.
Yeah.
And that's the cool part, is all of us fish, all of us work our butt off to make it to where this is something I want to fish. This is something I want to fish with. And so, being able to have those photos immediately was an important deal. All of them are time and date stamped. So there is no manipulation of the photos. They're saved to the library in your phone. So it's a backup of a backup system, basically.
Yep.
But if there was some issue where you came to me and said, hey, Josh, for some reason, I think I forgot to hit, because this has happened, I forgot to hit submit. And so my submission timed out. Well, since the submit button is at the end, you've taken those photos. So that fish is
They're already
captured.
there. Yeah.
So all you have to do is show me on your phone, hey, here you go. This is fish. It's fish number 2. It's labeled. It's time and date stamped up in the corner, so I know you didn't take it last week. And I can say, okay. And then the director has, like I said, total control. The director can enter that into your live well and, make sure everything comes out the way it's supposed to. So that is a very cool option to be able to do that. And the camera, this is crazy. I bet we've tested 4 or 5 cameras. And it's, your phone comes with the ability to take photos. They have the lenses and everything else, but the camera itself is a function that is a program. And so we just got to the point where, we did apples, we tried a few others, and people just had issues with knowing when the clock was running, knowing when they could, when they had taken it and what do I do next? I've taken the fish. Do I use it? Can I retake it? What can I do? And so that was something where we said, all right, we put in our own camera. So now that camera tells you when you took the fish, tells you when the video's going. The entire border of the screen turns red, and we have a huge timer in the corner that counts down. It tells you, hey, you're recording. Here you go. This is your release video. All of that was done because ease of use.
Right.
We would put it in, and somebody would say, the videos would come in, and it would be of the bottom of the boat, no fish release. So we'd ask him what happened. And he goes, I can't tell when the video's going. I said, okay. So we take it and change it. And then somebody else would have another suggestion. And then we would just go from there. So I think what we've landed on now is pretty good. Last year was another change. And it's pretty solid. And we've had numerous events now that no issues, no complaints, and much better videos. So I think mission accomplished on that one. So yeah, that system is definitely one that we thought of from the very beginning that needed to be in place. Is nothing goes into the app from outside. It all comes from the photos that go into the app from the camera into the submission, to the director, and the director approves it. That way there's no in between.
Yeah, the cool part is I've been testing it a little bit this fall, and I was out in the middle of Green Bay just messing around with it, and it connects, and then I can see it in the director mode. When I enter it as an angler, I can see it in director mode. If anybody wants to follow along in the app, you can go ahead, get registered in the app. We have a test tournament built and set that's going to be out there for a while for head-to-head, along with Wisco Bass has their own. So feel free to go in there, mess around with it, send the pictures, send the photos. I will see them, or Josh will see them, and one of us will approve them and probably send you a message back letting you know that we got this and you did everything the right way, and you'll get to see how easy it truly is to use.
And that is another upgrade that we're going to put in the next release that we have. Will be right now, if there's a note from the director. So when you enter a fish, I get it. Let's say you send it to me, I get it. I can, as part of the approval process, when I hit approve, there's a note there where I can say, hey, nice fish, great job. Or, you need to move your hand off of the fish's face. I can't see the mouth clearly. So we can send back instructions to make sure it stays smooth. Right now, that is our system is it highlights the fish. There's a little fish symbol that tells you what species you're entering in the app. It highlights it in green. People don't seem to notice that well enough, or notice what it is. So we are actually going to replace that fish with a note that says director note. That way you know that the director sent you a note and you need to go back in and take a look at that fish. So another great way to communicate.
You guys get it down to the details, so make it super user friendly. I know on the bass side you talked about largemouth and smallmouth for bass tournaments, and it's a drop down selection, and we'll be able to, in the test app right now, the test tournament, it's not set up this way where you'll have to select through a bunch of different species. Right. But once the tournament gets here, we'll have largemouth or smallmouth as the only two options. Another cool thing is you can have a separate weight scale, length to weight conversion for smallmouth and for largemouth. So on the bass side of things, that's really cool. Everything that I've seen going through it's awesome that you guys are fishermen. If you weren't fishermen, you wouldn't notice some of these things. Yeah, there's going to be things that come up, which is great. That means people are using it and trying to make it better. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's a good question from Radu about being able to practice with it and being able to talk back and forth as far as it's going. And yes, all of that will be possible. We've already talked about it, Kyle and I, about keeping that practice open. It will probably more or less, I don't know, what do you think, shut down like last day or something like that, so we don't get it confused. But
yeah, we'll definitely shut it off before the event starts. probably at official practice, maybe we'll leave it for one day. But once official practice is over, then definitely it will turn over. So Radu, I'm not sure if you did catch it, but we do have a test tournament out there right now that you can go in and mess with right now. So just search H2H in the tournaments and you'll find it.
Yeah, and the communication in the app is something that is super important. It's so hard to communicate with your boats when you're the director. You have people's text messages and you can send them text, but if you're not using your phone and in this type of format, guys put their phones in the glove box and they don't touch them.
Yep.
And so since everybody's so interactive in the app, we made a chat. There's a chat feature in the app. So if you want to know if you're doing a good job, everybody that enters that event is put into a chat room, and it will notify, just like it would with any other sort of chat function in any app you have, right? Facebook, or even the good old days of America Online. It'll do that sort of. You'll pop up and your name will be there, and you can at somebody. If you want the director, you can at one of the directors and say, how do my pictures look? And we can talk back and forth, no problem. And everybody else can see that way, if there's a weather issue and there's a safety issue.
Yep.
Hey, weather's turning bad. Hey, everybody, heads up, thunderstorm moving this way. Get to safety, tournament will resume in 30 minutes or whatever. Stuff like that. All of that is possible in the app because it is an issue, right? Like, you want to make sure everyone's safe. You want to make sure if somebody has a question on, can I measure my fish this way, or is it okay if I pinch the tail, or do I have to leave it as it lays? All of those things can be passed through so everybody can see it. Great way to keep the tournament moving very smoothly.
Yeah, definitely. And it's all about what's best for the anglers. So as guys get into this and as more and more people start using it, with the way we're going to use it for head-to-head with the length to weight conversion, I'm sure there's going to be stuff that comes up. And like I keep going back to this, but fishermen run this, so you're going to understand, okay, yeah, I can see why that's an issue, or hey, what about this? Can we do this instead? You guys are going to understand that, so it's awesome. It's really, really user friendly. I'm looking at the app, so there's also an MC mode. Talk about that a little bit, Josh. On, we're going to utilize that. I have some learning to do with that. We're going to do a bunch of testing prior to the first event on, our end of that, on how we're going to utilize that. I know we're going to use it for head-to-head and for Wisco bass. So talk to us a little bit about how that works for some other directors out there that might be thinking about switching over to you guys.
The MC mode is pretty cool. It is something where it will rank according to the leaderboard, from first to worst, and in every team or angler, depending if it's team or individual, it will give all of their information. It will give all of the how many fish they caught, what their biggest fish was for each day. It will tell them what they right now we're talking about expanding it, but it'll give you their top 3 fish, right? So their biggest 3 fish and their biggest 3 fish release videos. So you can use those videos in a presentation. It's all about, a lot of the live weigh-in stuff is all about the stage presentation. Like, what do you guys do when those fish come across? What do we do when we don't have those fish coming across? Well, MC helps you out with this, because what it can do is it can have you can have a smart TV, let's say, and you can have a huge smart TV up there, and as an MC, you can put up their pictures and their videos, and that can be on the smart TV as that team walks up. And if you don't have the leaderboard on, you can do the reveal of what their weight was and where they stand and what place they're in. And so it really helps with the showmanship. It helps with the ability to give people the credit they deserve, and show them the pictures of the great fish they caught while they were out there competing. And so and it does it from, and you can pick, we go from the bottom up, so if we're paying down 10, we start with 10, and we'll go up to 1. And and it's great. You can hear all the weights. You can see where you need to be. For me, I look at it and I think to myself, if I'm just outside of that money, I know where I need to be. If I was at, 26.5 for the tournament and 27 even is in 10th place, now I know that. Now I can see that. And so, um, I think it's all part of the tools. It's all part of it. Letting guys know, like, this is your one stop. You go here and you can start to figure out how you do your fishing season and your tournament season. And that way, you know where you need to be, you know where you need to go. I'm a competitive person, so I sure as hell wanted to know where I was going to end up. So I think that's the cool part.
Yeah, the MC side for the tough thing with catch weight release tournaments is how do you make the weigh-in part of the day cool, right? Like how do you interact with people? How do you get people to stick around? How do you get, let's face it, Major League Fishing has been trying for 10 plus years now and trying to keep a crowd and make a weigh-in cool. And I really like the fact that I can keep the leaderboard secret from all the anglers. I can go in there throughout the day, pull a couple top videos and some top pictures, push that onto our social media to build some excitement, not show the whole leaderboard. Maybe we show it once or twice a day on social medias or on our website, whatever. And then we can bring all that back to the weigh-in, build that hype. Nobody knows what they have when they come in. From the tournament, the anglers won't know where they're sitting until, we reveal their weight and then they get to see the leaderboard. So it's really cool idea to hold that back, right? To be able to have control of that data and leak a little bit out here, leak a little bit there. So when the MC is up on stage with the anglers, there's a wow reveal moment instead of somebody holding up fish. We get to show them videos. Pulling the top 3 videos is cool as well because, like you said, you can have the angler up there talking, and while they're talking, we can be playing their videos in the background, and then bam, here's your weight for the day. The big reveal is very cool. And on day 2 or day 3, the final day of an event, it's going to build a lot of excitement.
Yeah. And one of the things I love to do is I coach football, and I love to make highlight videos for the kids, especially at the end of the year when you have your banquet or whatever. And I see this as being the exact same thing. All of the media that these guys turn in throughout the entire event, directors will be able to download pictures, videos, whatever. And the kind of highlight video and thing you could make off of that type of media collection, along with what you guys are going to do.
Simple. Yeah.
Fabulous. Yeah.
Takes all the work out of it for you. Matt Snell is joined in the chat here. I really hope someone takes advantage of this mode. I can tell you right now, 100% certainty, the events I'm using it for, we are using the MC mode. For Wisco Bass, we're not even going to use the program that we use currently for our tournament software. We're going to use this 100% on its own and utilize all the things that you guys built into it to make our lives easier, because I don't have to go in and try and pull videos out to build a highlight reel for the end of the day. Or, we could pull some highlights for head-to-head with production side of things. We can have that built into a highlight reel in minutes, rather than having to save it as the weigh-in goes. We can literally click, save them, and have a highlight reel for, the end of the event. It's us personally for head-to-head and for Wisco Bass, we're using the MC mode 100%. So.
It's great. Yeah, it's great. And the ability to download all the media is also great. I mean, you guys are really good at grabbing that media and getting it out. You can take people's pictures, measurement photos, whatever, release videos, and it doesn't have to reveal who they are. It's just a fish going in the water. You can edit it. I mean, you can make Facebook posts throughout the entire event to show, or whatever, social media platform you want to use to show how the tournament's going, build that excitement, and have people go in, which, kind of leads us to the fan part of the app where, people can subscribe. And if they subscribe to the app, they can have access to watch these tournaments. Any tournament you want to, you can go in and you can watch that leaderboard, and you can have interactions because you can chat with people, other fans. After the tournament, you can chat with the participants, and you can really come up. You can have that interaction. I think it would be super cool, and you and I've talked about this. Look, if I'm a big fan of let's say Keith Cavaius, right? And Keith is fishing H2H, and I can see his profile. I can see he's in there. He's in the chat. I can send him a message after the tournament day in the group chat. Hey, Keith, great job today. Nice weight. What were you doing? Right. It really gives the pros an opportunity to interact on a
Yeah.
level that is just, that's so important to grow this sport. So important to bring up that next generation, and that type of direct connect, I think, is really could be super cool if it's used the right way.
Yeah, definitely. Brent DeColvey is my partner in Wisco Bass. He has all the weight on his shoulders with this. He is our MC. He's the one that's going to be, taking this data and being able to digest it quickly and come out with words that make sense, right? As an MC, it's tough. Like, I'm fine talking in front of a group of people. As soon as I put a microphone in my hand, I can't stand it. I lose my train of thought. I can't see straight. To be able to look down at the app, on the phone or on an iPad or whatever it's on, and be able to see this, and boom, 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 this is this angler, this is what he had yesterday, this is what he has today, here's the pictures, push of a button. The fans that are on location get to see that. It's, to me, you guys, like Brent said, it's super well thought out. I'm sure we're going to find something that we may, want to change from Wisco side, head-to-head side in that MC mode, and I have no doubt that, we'll make it better, right?
Yeah. Well, and I think that, that's the biggest thing that anybody else who wants to use this app, any other director or even the anglers, look, that's our thing is we're open. Like, if there is something you need or something you want, if it makes sense, and if it's something that is not only doable, but if, it has to be affordable, right? Like we could, it's not going to drive your truck for you, but it may
Not
do the
yet.
radio for you.
Yeah, not yet.
Yeah, not yet. But if it makes sense, then we're in on it, right? Because if it works for you, it's going to work for somebody else.
Right.
And we would be foolish to not take that advice and that train of thought, because man, I can tell you we've all done it, right? All of us that fish these tournaments and fish with other people, we've all hopped onto somebody else's boat, and you and I know how to fish bottom bouncers, no problem. But I promise you, we're going to
Not me.
I was trying to
That's Spanglish to me.
Help me out, Kyle. But anything, right? Trolling cranks on boards.
Right,
all
right.
of us know how to do that, right? But you're going to do it different. I promise. Every boat I get on, somebody does it different. You're going to have your different snaps. Maybe you don't like the red snaps, you like the orange. Maybe you like the locking snaps. Your boards are going to be different. I'm going to have to learn your boards. I'm going to have to learn, I let out so much first and then I do this, or I like mono or super line. Everybody's going to do it different. And I think that was kind of the idea with us is, if you want to do it different, tell me and tell one of us. And if it'll work, let's do it, because your way of fishing boards may be just as productive and as good as my way of fishing boards, and I may like your way better. So let's see.
Right. Open-minded.
So,
let's face it, as much as I don't want to believe it and some other people don't want to believe it, this is the direction tournament fishing is going. In the near future, in the walleye world is way, way, way ahead of the times with this than bass. Obviously walleye has more of a harvest mindset around it as well, but this is the way it's going. This is, I don't want to believe it. I don't really want to see it go that way, because I love the Big Five. As a competitor, I love bringing fish to the scale, but it's really not what's best for the fish, right? In the near future, probably within 10 years, I'd say, the majority of states are going to go over to this and make it mandatory. And, anything that we can do now to help these apps get better and, more user-friendly than it already is only for our own benefit in the future. And kids nowadays, this is where they're at. This is what they want. So, maybe, fishing the app, starting in a kayak at a young age, or shore tournaments, stuff like that, will keep them involved in the sport. So, Doug Oler is right. It is an A-rig for me, 100%.
I don't know what an A-rig is.
Keep it that way. Keep it that way.
No, you're right. I mean, it's going that way, whether we want it to or not. And I can remember I fished my first tournament in 1999, and I was just a recent college graduate, bought my first boat. I'd always fished from a float tube as a kid, and I remember going on. I think I had two spinning rods, maybe a single tackle box. Knew how to catch walleyes. Had been fishing for my whole life, and with everything, it changes. Right now, I have more rods than I would care to admit. I don't have enough room in a 20-foot boat, and that boat was only 17 and a half foot. So it's really we all progress, and this is going to be part of it. So the key is if we're all going to do this, let's make it as good as we can. And um, it's a passion, right? Like, all of the sport is a passion for us all, and to if we're going to have to use it, let's make it work right.
Right,
So
right. So I am in the MC mode here. I'm just backing out. And this thing, it's super cool for a director. There's 3 different areas for me to go into, and it's literally, I went from MC mode to angler mode, 2 touches. I mean, it's to jump back and forth. Granted, I won't be in an angler mode too often as a director, but between the director and in the MC mode, to get in and out of there, I keep saying it because I sound like a broken record, but it's super easy to operate, and there's some fear from some anglers, I know on the bass side of, so what our tournament in the spring is during the spawn. So let's talk about that a little bit as far as like fish recognition. Guys are worried about catching and weighing the same fish multiple times. What have you done to kind of combat that? And, in walleye tournament fishing, it could happen as well. If somebody's sight fishing for a walleye in shallow water, they could catch it multiple times in one day. What have you guys done to combat that?
I from the years of looking at fish, right? From being a tournament director, and then bringing them in myself all the years before to the weigh-ins and stuff. We all know we start to recognize fish, right? And so this app is no different than any other app as far as the app is only as good as the rules that accompany it. So
Correct.
you have to have a good set of rules that accompany and work to the strengths of the app. So we have the video release. The video release is big important. Can the video release stop everything? No. I mean, nothing's going to stop everything. If people want to cage fish and take pictures of them, but what we do have is especially with the new fish log that we're going to be implementing, you're going to be able to see where these people are as a director. You're going to be able to see where they're entering those fish from, and it's going to be live. It's going to be instant, so you can put view fish, and you can see where they caught that fish from. Well, if you have somebody that's always weighing a fish from the same area, you can go take a boat ride as a director. So
Sure.
that's going to help with that sort of thing too. But having the ability to have the video release is huge, and then using our own camera. You can pause the camera, you can take a screenshot, you can zoom in, it doesn't pixelate. Having all that stuff available. So with the measurement photo, same deal. You can zoom in, it doesn't pixelate. You know, if you and I are fishing together and we have, of our 6 or 7 fish that we've entered, 4 of them are 21 and a quarter. As a tournament director, I'm going to look at that and say, oh,
Yeah.
wait, timeout, right? Like, how many 21 and a quarters do you think you can get where they look almost exactly the same length? So now I'm going to take a closer look, and I'm going to go back in the app, and the app allows you to go back and look at all the fish. And I'm going to say, let me look at all these 21 and a quarters from Josh and Kyle's bag, and let me see. And, as a tournament director, you're going to look at a ton of fish, and you're going to start to recognize, look, that fish looks pretty similar. And look, it hits the line almost the exact same spot. And it's going to give you enough recognition and enough ability so where when you and I come in, I'm going to come up to you and say, hey guys, come here, let me talk to you. Let me ask you about these 421s, and I noticed you caught them all in almost the exact same spot. And yes, they can come from the same school, and walleyes are known to roam with the same size roughly of each other sometimes and things like that. But let's talk about this one. Like, look at this one. This one's gill plate. It's got a little mark right here. Well, that same one, I think you caught that fish twice. And and it goes into, and granted, if that happens, some guys may not have a clue. right? I mean,
Right, right.
I'm just fishing an area. I kick that fish loose. I don't know if he's going to bite again. And so most guys are probably going to be pretty reasonable about it. But who knows? Maybe there are guys, like you said. I mean, maybe they kick that 10-pounder loose and they're fishing in 3 feet of water. They see him go back to that same pocket and they're flipping at him for another hour. Boom, they get him again and take a picture and off they go. So there's plenty of media, whether it be video or pictures, that's going to allow us to have a really good look at fish and to be able to say this doesn't look right, and all the evidence is going to be right in front of you. So
Yeah, not being
as far
able
as
to not being able to upload any fish either from your album is a big deal. Not being able to take a video from your album and bring it in. Not being able to, like SD cards, just use that as an example. With apps nowadays, there's really, with this app, there's no way to manipulate a picture because you can't take it from anywhere. It has to be done in that app in order. An SD card, man, people want to cheat, they're going to find a way, right? It's just, you got to control the things you can control. And if we're going this way to catch, weight, release, there has to be some confidence that guys are not going to be able to cheat, right?
right, and that's the ultimate, the ultimate trick with any of these apps or any of this format is you have to have the confidence. You have to have the guys buying in, saying, no, you know what, this is pretty solid. There's not going to be any cheating here. I think this is going to keep it's going to keep people pretty honest because, I mean, if it doesn't, you've got a lot of proof to say, at the very least, to be able to question and say, What's going on here? Like this looks suspicious." And I think I, I just think it's really a tough thing to, for the most part, to try and cheat, especially with the video release. I think that's key. That was a big deal for us. Is you gotta watch
Another
this fish swim off.
Another concern and question that I've been getting is, especially on the walleye side for head to head, is, well, I'm by myself. How do I take a picture by myself? How do I release this by myself? There's guys that already have solutions to it that have had great ideas about putting a magnet on their dash. So for their selfie, for their hero shot, and then for the release of the release video, hit play, holding the fish up, walk over, release it, back to the phone. Guys are already starting to think about ways to do that. On the bass side, for us with a team tournament, both guys can be involved in it. It doesn't have to be one person doing it, right? So the question of how do I take a picture, say I got a 28-inch walleye, well, I'm short, stubby, and I have no problem getting a picture of that fish on that board, getting the whole 32-inch board in the frame. And again, if you don't get it correct, you have a chance to retake, prior, because you have to approve it. Yes, I approve this before it moves on and goes on to the next step. So, some of the naysayers of, I've heard same thing, it's not good for the fish to have them laying on their side or, on and off a measuring board. Well, again, as much as I don't want to admit it, it's better than putting them in a live well and moving them around and relocating them, right? So.
Right. Yeah. And we, in the testing, I think most of us tested by ourselves because, we want kayak guys to be able to use this.
Yeah.
And, it's going to be one-handed. They really have a limited space. They're trying to, get the right angle. And we just did a big inshore fishing tournament, IFA, with Bass Pro Shops for the whole state of Florida. And, they were catching gigantic redfish in
Yeah.
kayak. And they're, they figure it out, right? They've got the camera up, they can see it, they take a picture of this big redfish laying across their lap on the board. They did a great job, and then, if you start the video with the fish still on the board, now you've got a backup, to where, let's say the sun's shining on the board and you can't see it really great, or they've got a, something, right? If you start the video and the fish is there, now I can, you or any director can look and say, oh, wait, the measurement photo may not be clear, but look at this video. I can clearly see it now.
Right.
And, and you have all that to be able to see it. And yeah, that is an issue. I agree with them 100%. It is, that's what I worried about. But I can tell you that part of the color coding, part of the way we did it was so you can sit there with, and I'm a thumber, right? I don't do this. I do this.
Yeah.
So I can sit there with a thumb by myself, walleye in this hand, phone in this hand. I can stick that bad boy on the board. I can go to the picture. I can look at the camera. I can get it. Boom, hit it with my thumb, and it then it use photo or retake all with the thumb. That's why it's at the bottom and not at the top. And boom, I want to use the photo. Now I go thumb down to the next one. It's orange. Here we go, video. Bink. Okay, I can see it's going. There we go. Pick it up, drop it in the lake, bink, done. Now I've got both. Now I can do it. That was the point. That is why it is that way. Boom, 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 boom.
Yep.
Because it is hard. I mean, I agree. I've been out there many times, right? And it's a busy day on the lake, and the jet skis are going by you, and the wake boats have the lake going like this, and you're trying to take a picture of that fish and do it. It's tough. So that was definitely taken into consideration when this was created, because that was my fear too. Is, man, this is hard.
It
So
makes
yeah,
the argument pretty easy when you could say kayakers do it, right? They're
yeah,
sitting down, if they lose control of that fish at all, it's gone. And I know a bunch of buddies that kayak tournament fish, and they love it. They love the apps. Granted, that's only the option they have, but they don't have an issue with it. It keeps the focus on that. It keeps the focus on getting that picture square, and it's up to you. There's nobody else to blame if a picture's not right.
yeah,
The one thing I like, we did have some questions about why are you doing length to weight conversion, especially in Door County, or even the walleye bass side. There's giant fish, right? In the bass side, we're getting some pushback of, well, 19 and a half incher in the spring is going to be 5-ish pounds.
right.
Well, how am I going to get that accurate? I want to be able to, if I catch this 8-pounder, I want credit for an 8-pounder. Well, the issue I have with scales, and why I'm okay with going to length, is I don't trust people by themselves with a scale. One, I don't trust the scale, because you're out in the waves, you're out in the commotion, you're talking about boat wakes, stuff like that. That scale's not going to be accurate. You're going to sit with that fish out of the water for a longer period of time to get that scale accurate. We've seen it on head-to-head, last year in the leagues where, guys are waiting, and we did switch to the Bubba scales, and that helped that a lot. It helped lock in a lot quicker, but sometimes the fish are just out and you're going to have some malfunction. The only malfunction that can happen right now is user error, where the angler didn't get a clear picture, and that can't be blamed on a camera or a scale. That can't be blamed on boat wakes. You have the ability to retake that picture. So from a director standpoint, I love the black and whiteness of it, where you submitted this picture knowing it was wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That picture's not, I'm not going to approve it, right? And
Right.
we're going to,
Yeah.
it's going to happen. I'm going to get some pushback, but it's pretty black and white from a director standpoint of, you
agree.
have the ability to make sure this is right before you move on in the app. And, it's just the accountability side of things, where it takes a lot of that black and white away, gray area, I should say. It takes that away. And from a director standpoint, there's nothing better than that.
And we all have been there, right? The excitement of a bite, especially if you got a hot
Yeah.
bite or a nice fish, or you got a couple of boards that went back, and you're hooking and you're trying to get everything done and then get it back out to capitalize on whatever bite is possibly starting. We've all been there for that, but if you just take a step back and you make sure you take care of what you're doing, it really is a you know maybe a 12-13 second process at most.
Yep.
And think of what it saves you. You're not sitting back there in your live well with snap weights on the fins. You're not raising that live well lid every few minutes to see if you can make sure that fish isn't belly up, or to make sure they're going to be alive. I mean, we all have made a long run where those fish get beat to death in that box, and no matter how alive they were when you left, by the time you get there, they don't look great,
Right.
and so none of that becomes a factor. So if you save all that time from babysitting those fish and trying to make sure they're alive, you have plenty of time to make sure you can retake a picture. And if the fish is out of the water for 15-20 seconds, we all know that's not a big deal, right? I mean, make sure you get your picture, make sure it's clear, make sure the sun isn't beating down on it or messing it up. And
Yep.
then make sure that video is a good release video, and then you're done. You're on to your next fish.
Yep.
And
There's going to
hit
be a
submit,
learning
and off
curve
you
for
go.
everybody for sure.
Sure. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. But it is when you look at it in a bigger picture, and that's the way I had to look at it because I'm just like you. Like I always had them in a box. Um, the first one I did, it was pretty quick. I mean, and it was fast. And another part about what this does for anglers and for directors, but mostly for anglers, is this app turns on at a certain time and it turns off at a certain time. So everybody out there can fish right up to their last second, and
Yep.
then it's off. So if you have initiated taking that picture of the fish, that fish is going to count. And so if the camera's open and you're taking it and you're over at 3 o'clock, if it turns 3 o'clock and you're in the middle of doing that fish counts. That's the way the app's designed. But now there isn't that crazy mad rush. Some of us love that. I get it, right? I used to love coming in hell bent, and ready to rock. But now it's a little safer. It's a little easier on our equipment, especially if we're making those long runs. You can have the app shut off at 3. Everybody has to be in by 3:30. See you guys at 3:30. It has become so much simpler for us. Nobody's down there at the dock checking them in. Nobody has to be, 2 people can run an event that is several hundred boats, no problem. And
Yep.
so that's the biggest deal, is the more money I can save as a director by using an app, the more money I can save as a director using eTournament to communicate, to do the fish, to do all of that, the more as directors we can put back towards the anglers. And I think that's the thing that people have to keep in mind is this is an advantageous, app for us for many reasons. And for us, that was the big deal. 3
Right.
of us doing it. We didn't want to have to take multiple trucks to pull multiple trailers with weigh equipment and then our boat and all this. One truck, one boat, 3 of us in it. Let's go, and we're going to take care of it. And then it's perfect because we don't fish our own tournaments, but we fish during our own tournaments, and we sit out there and have a ball. Right? We just screw off. We go through and do the fish and have a great time. And so that is also pretty good for directors too. Makes it a lot more fun.
Yeah, there's a great testimonial here from Isaac. Have fished multiple tournaments using this app. Can say it has been the easiest and non-stressful app I've ever used. Super fast and simple on top of any other stress you already have on yourself sometimes. That's a big thing right there is if you trust the app that you're using and you trust the process, right? Once you get that process down, that eliminates so much stress. I mean, putting fish in a live well and culling and making sure you're making the right decisions and just getting soaked all the time. And, you go for a long boat ride or whatever, you got to worry about them. And that's added stress that just goes away, I love the fact that you get to fish right up until that time. I know for us on the head-to-head side, it's going to be everybody's done at X time, and then you have to be back by X time, like you mentioned. That eliminates the guys making, an hour-long run, and, you still got to be back at a certain time to be checked in. So,
and that brings in that time accountability, right? Like,
yeah, yep.
if you, especially on the big lakes, right? If you're going to make that run, hey, it's all for it, right? But the app's going to shut off at 3:30, and you have to be back by 4. So if that means you have to leave while 30 minutes of the app is still going, and it could be fishing time, that's on you.
So be it. Yeah.
But that still keeps that factor in there. That still keeps that accountability in there. And it really does make it makes the start a lot easier too. I mean, app comes on at 7. You can start rolling out boats. Let's say you start rolling out boats right at 7 or 6:55.
Yep.
By the time they're
Doesn't
all going,
matter,
you're
yep.
coming off plane, apps on, and off we go. So, it really is a safety. One of the side effects that we thought of, but we didn't really see until we started to put it into practice ourselves. It really feels like things are a lot safer.
You don't have that mad dash.
Yeah. Yep. And as directors, we've all been out there sitting at a buoy line, or the mouth of the harbor, waiting for those boats to come in, and you're just getting beat to death as they're coming in, and off you go. So waving at them, showing numbers, all that goes away. You don't have to do any of that. So
Right.
it really makes it pretty easy.
One thing you guys do that's different, we'll touch on the last thing here, we're pushing right at the hour mark right now, is you guys charge by the month or by the yearly subscription, correct? Where most other apps are by event. So financial side of things for the angler, yeah, there's a cost there, but talk about what you guys charge for the month or by the yearly and why you guys chose that over the per event.
We charge $4.99 for the month, and it gives you 30 days, right? So if you subscribe on the first, you can cancel it 10 minutes after you subscribe, and it's still going to give you those 30 days. So it's not going to end it for you. The reason we did that is because, so many, and H2H is no different. Our seasons are what they are, right? We're all going to kick it into gear beginning of April, and it's going to go hot and heavy through June into maybe a little bit of July, and then it lulls out till maybe fall or ice fishing circuits or something like that. We wanted to be able to give, the if I'm going to fish H2H and then I'm going to fish, let's say, Michigan Walleye Trail, a couple of theirs, and I'm going to fish another one, some online derby, like the Ultimate Walleye Derby or something. I am going to be involved in several events. Well, if I have to pay, like one of the apps is, that is commonly used, is $10. So if I have to do $10 for each one of those, now I'm in at 30, 40, $50 for a month of fishing. We said, no, that's garbage. We want you guys to be able to take it as a tournament director, set up your series, like we do, right? We have a big event, a big tournament in May, and then we'll have what we call Go Get 'ems. We'll do a Go Get 'em, which is just a virtual event, and that'll help fill in the month of May till the next tournament. And but there's no reason I'm going to charge you another $10 and have it be $20 for you to come fish these. So at $4.99 for the month, you can fish as many as you want, and it doesn't have to be just H2H. Anybody that uses the app, any circuit that uses the app, they can go fish it for that $4.99 a month. And and then if you're a big ice fisherman, like a lot of these guys are, you do a lot of fall tournaments, you're not a hunter. Now all of a sudden you buy the annual, we give you 2 months for free. And so for $50, you can have the app for the entire year. And with the introduction of this next release, we're going to introduce that fish log, which is going to keep track of where, you can use it to where you've caught your fish. You can put notes in, you can do all of that stuff. You can use the app when you're not even in a tournament. You can use an app to learn a new lake. You can use the app for all of that, $4.99 a month. That allows us to be able to allow people to get the most they can out of it, and as a tournament director, it allows you to be able to continue to be in contact with your anglers and be able to put out messages through the chat and say, okay, everybody, we're getting ready to do this. Here you go. And we just thought that was a much more common sense approach. I think our thinking is I'm not looking to get rich off of every single angler. What I'm looking for is to have every angler use us, and we'll make our money back that way. And
Yep.
so that's what we want to do. And so we do have the ability, and by doing that, that takes some of the pressure off of the tournament director. If it falls on the angler does it through their phone, just like you would Hulu or Disney or any of those other stuff. It's done through the phone. It can be canceled right there on your device. It doesn't have to be done through as part of an entry fee. It doesn't have to be done as part of it's taken out because of there's a fee for this or a fee for that. Straight through your device. It's $4.99 through your device. Your card's already on file in your device. Done deal. You're off and running. So that really allows us the ability to deliver the app and give you full access to the app for the most amount of time for the best price.
Andy, you have their website pulled up with some benefits of what eTournament offers. It's up on your screen right now. You can see the list. Highlight some of them things for us, Josh, for the fans of what they're going to get compared to others.
It's funny here. Let me. I've got it pulled up here too. This list is so different and so much bigger than the other apps that I start to forget some of the stuff that we have. But it allows you, like the fan. It allows the fan is going to have access to the fish log. So now the fan is really going to be involved, but it allows them to watch the tournaments, be a part of it, even though they're not fishing it. We have the geofence boundary. That's huge, especially when you go onto these bigger lakes, or you go to a lake that has a river that comes into it and you're fishing early spring, and you don't want that. You don't want that the anglers going up into the river. You want to cut the river off. Well, the geofence is set up by the director, and it allows the director to keep people within the boundaries automatically. If you enter a fish outside the boundary, it notifies the director, and the fish can be disqualified. So that's a huge one for us. We also do the angler pin system. The angler pin system is where in Colorado we have great walleye fishing, but we have small reservoirs. So the problem is that you get tailpipers. You get guys who try to make their bag on what you did. So to avoid that, to combat that, we created a pin system. Everybody, when they register, they get a pin that is known only to them. And that is how you can view the leaderboard, is by looking at that pin system. It will show you the fish you've caught both days. It'll show you your total, but instead of having the angler's name, it's a pin number. That way you can keep anonymity. Guys' spots are secure. You don't have to worry about anybody tailpiping because
I really
they
like
don't know if
that.
you're in first place or last place. Yeah, it is a fantastic option. That's actually the first thing we built into the app when we built it. Now there is the ability, if it's a tournament where you don't mind, then you as a director have the ability to switch it, and the names will appear next to the pins. It's up to you. That's the whole idea. But we like it for the pin system. It really got rid of tailpiping. It's a pretty cool feature. Like we talked about, the 30 days use for $4, or essentially $5 is really the best pricing for any app that's on the market right now. The community chat feature is just, we're working to make it better and better, as far as like what it will do, how it will notify. You can use it to communicate with the directors. The directors can use it to give instructions. Hey, we're going out of the north ramp out of this town at this time. If there's a weather delay, we're delayed an hour. We'll see everybody in an hour. We're going to launch at 8 instead of 7. All of that can be communicated through the app. You don't need another form or another way of adding communication. Everything else is selectable. Daily bag limits. You get to set how many fish are kept. Single species versus multi-species, like you talked about. And that was actually your suggestion. Hey, how can I narrow this down? We said, okay, we're going to narrow it down. So now you don't have the list of fish. You as the director are going to say, I want bass only. Boom, boom. That's what you're going to get. So that's a great suggestion by Kyle. So that was pretty cool. And that was our very first conversation. So we took that, put it in right away. I was like, that's a great idea. Let's do it. So,
and I could tell you, I was super impressed by that too. Like the first conversation we had, I'm just scrolling through it, right? Setting up a tournament, and it was changed. I don't know what, 4 hours later. Like, you guys don't mess around. There was something there, and changed, update, done. Awesome.
Yeah, and it was good to go, and we could see the value in it. So, and everything is downloadable. That's the other thing, is our DNR here makes us give a fish creel or some sort of information. The entire catch is downloadable into an Excel spreadsheet. I just download in the Excel spreadsheet, stick
That's
it into
awesome.
Google Drive, put it on my computer, ship it off to DNR, and I almost always get a call thanking us, like, this is cool, where did you get this? And
Yep.
it's just the catch information from all the fish entered in the app. It gives date, time, the fish size, and they love knowing that every fish they see on that list was released. And a lot of DNRs have contacted us, and said, hey, this is pretty cool, thank you guys, thanks for this information. And so that's another great feature. All of the media is downloadable by the directors. Any of those pictures are downloadable, so you can make, promote your circuits, promote your fishermen, promote your sponsors. All of it is downloadable, which is great, because we use it too to promote the app and to promote your circuit. So, Iowa's a great example. They've got a great tournament, a great group of guys there, and Nebraska as well. And we use their pictures to promote our app. And at the same time, we're saying, check out Iowa Clear Lake for their big tournament, or check out Nebraska Walleye Trail for their series. And if you're in Canada, we have the metric system in place, so it automatically and it's not pure metric. I mean, we do have pure metric, but they like to go centimeters to pounds. So they asked us, another example, they
Sure.
asked us, they said, look, we would really like this. That would help us out. We put in centimeters to pounds for them. So
They'll catch on
Canada's
eventually up there how much easier it is.
yeah, it's so, but I'll tell you what, actually, it's kind of cool having the centimeters. We kind of got used to it because we were tournament directors for some of their tournaments. We offer the service of being a tournament director so the directors can go fish. And we got used to looking at those centimeters because it converts it to pounds. And it's pretty cool. It's pretty accurate. So it was pretty I kind of like it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
At first I thought, but it's not bad. I mean, it kind of narrows it down. We kind of like it. So Canada's in and they're going, and and the other big thing is too is we can we take that leaderboard, and as a director, you can choose when you set it up if you want to get a link to put it on your webpage. So that leaderboard not only will be on the app, but it will be displayed on your webpage, and then we'll display it on ours with you too. And that way people have plenty of places to go check out the leaderboard, and that's a pretty solid function as well. So and it can be displayed.
Brent has a question here, and you might be able to answer it. Sponsor scroll integration for weigh-in would be neat if it doesn't have it already. I believe it already is in there in your profile, correct? For the anglers,
it is in your profile, and if you have it on your web page, there's a carousel at the bottom to put in sponsors, and they're all linkable. So you can, if you go to the etfishing.com right now, you can click the live leaderboard, and the IFA series we just finished with Bass Pro is up there. And at the bottom, you scroll all the way down to the bottom, you'll see that there is a carousel for your sponsors. So Bass Pro loaded it up with, all their motors and boats and all that stuff. So,
nice.
So that is all there. And Brent, we are always looking for more space to be able to put in sponsor stuff. But the one thing we will never do is we will never clutter the angler side of the app. It is there for a purpose. It is there to, we'll never do AdSense. We'll never do Google AdSense. We'll never make it look like a Vegas slot machine app. It is there.
Talk about confusion, right?
Purpose. Yeah. Yeah.
You get them ads popping up. Yeah, that's a great thing to bring up because, we all know you open anything nowadays, there's a pop-up that follows along with it, and it's annoying, and it will fluster you and cause you to make a mistake within the app, I would assume. Radu has a question here as well. An idea, a feature to be able to link a GoPro to the app in addition to using the phone to register the fish for the directors to check in case of doubt. Would it be possible in the future? That's a really good idea.
Yeah, it's a great idea. The issue we run into with stuff like that is storage. So if we were to link it into the app, that would be great. The problem is that has to be stored then somewhere. So we, as part of the service of the app, we buy storage through Amazon. We use AWS as our cloud, and it's great. But if we had continuous running video, and video is heavy on storage anyways. If we had continuous running video, the issue would be is where do we store that? And we don't run off servers, so I can't say we would put another server in or additional server space. It is off cloud, and it is something that we have to purchase on the front end. So as good as that would be,
500,000 users of this thing, that could be possible, right? So
yeah. So the more we get of you guys, the more maybe we can do something like that. And you know what, Kyle and I, we talked about that a little bit, about being able to collect that media instead of having to have camera boats. Everybody has a camera in there, and that's off they go. And maybe that's something in the future we can do. But the challenge would be storage. I mean, we actually could probably do that now. Like, your idea is perfect. It would not be difficult to Bluetooth into the app. The problem is where does it go? So,
right.
But again, we understand that it's important to H2H. It's important to these other circuits that send out camera boats to be able to capture that. So, but that would be a pretty pretty big variation away from what the app is designed to do now, just for the fact of where does it go? So,
Yeah,
but no, it's a great idea.
understandable there.
Yeah, and it's a great idea, and it's absolutely something that we have talked about and would love to look into, especially for the bigger circuits that are willing to pay for it. So.
Very cool, very cool. Everybody that's been on with us, thank you. I hope, if you have any questions, I hope you got them out there. If you have any after this, feel free to reach out to me. Feel free to reach out to Josh. I'm sure you guys have a contact portion on your website. I encourage you to log into the app, play around with it. It doesn't cost anything to build a profile. You can go in and build a profile, mess around with it, and you can go in and do the test tournaments, go in and look at the head-to-head test tournament, mess around with it, take pictures, send me some funny videos as your video, and we'll respond back. Keep them somewhat PG-13ish. We gotta watch what we ask for with some of these guys, but it's, to me, not having a whole lot of knowledge with the apps prior to, say, August of last year. It's very user friendly. It's easy to use. It's color coordinated. It's pretty much dummied down. I mean, in lack of better words, and I need that. Like we talked about at the beginning, we're both good enough with tech to be dangerous and mess stuff up, but this is really it's hard to screw it up, because if you don't like the picture, you get to take it over. You don't like the video, you get to take it over. So
absolutely. And if there's any issues, we are available, all the time. Like I said, it drives my wife nuts, but we're available all the time because we know what it's like, right? We want to make sure that you guys have confidence in it. And if that's a phone call at 7:30 at night, and you're like, hey, I'm messing with this, and for some reason it won't work. Usually it's a pretty easy fix, and you're off and running. So, and that goes for directors too. I mean, Kyle and I swap texts pretty consistently, and it's fun for us. We're fishermen, we're tournament directors. It's kind of like being a part of the team. This is all good stuff. This is what we love to do. So it's a great,
all right, Josh,
great opportunity.
We appreciate your time. We appreciate you coming on with me and talking. We're probably going to do this again here as the season gets closer for the head-to-head pro walleye circuit and the Wisco bass. And, as we get closer to this, there's going to be more questions. There's going to be more guys going in the app messing around. And we encourage, like I said, people to go in there and play with it. So thanks for your time. Thanks for coming on. And again, if you have any more questions, head over to, what is the website they can head over to?
etfishing.com. And go over to etfishing.com or etournamentfishing.com, and hit us up through the get in touch with us. We'll answer right away. And usually I'll shoot you a phone number and say, hey, give me a call, or Anthony, our head tech guy, will, and we'll get it lined out for you. But thanks, Kyle. Thanks again for everything. We really appreciate the opportunity. I think we're going to have a fantastic time, and hopefully we'll get to come on out and see you guys for one or two of these events and hang out. So
I look forward to it, my friend. I look forward to it. We are going to be back here next Thursday with Eric McCoy. So same time, same channel, Eric McCoy next week. I'm sure we're going to get into some nitty gritty and try to dig out some of his secrets out on Green Bay. And until then, we will see you next time.